Hello everyone, welcome to the ITLS Academy. Today we are going to discuss another topic in the series of food preservation, and the topic that we are going to discuss is biotechnology and reduce spoilage. Okay, so we all know that this spoilage is what? Spoilage is food spoilage means that the food which is unfit for consumption. Spoilage means food become unfit for the consumption. Okay. Now we are going to discuss that how these biotechnology reduce that spoilage. Okay, means that we apply the different application of the biotechnology so that the spoilage of the food become decreases, and then food become fit for the consumption of the human being. So let's start the lecture. Food biotechnology. When biotechnology apply in a food, then it is known as a food technology or food biotechnology. Okay, so their application are in the breeding of new varieties of plants and animal. Okay, now with the help of biotechnology, new varieties of the plants and animals are produced. Then different techniques are involved in the food processing, which enhance the nutritive value, flavor, and shelf life of the food product. Fermentation is the another application of the biotechnology used in the food technology. Crop biotechnology, animal biotechnology, food microbiology. Okay, crop biotechnology means that when we apply the biotechnology in the production of the different crop, then it is known as a crop biotechnology. Apply the biotechnology for the production of new crops. Okay, animal biotechnology means that the application of this biotechnology to enhance the quality of the animals, or to the milk that we get from the animal, and the different other application is also come under this category. Food microbiology means that the study of the microorganism which are present into the food product, and that microorganism inhabit, create, or contamination to the food product. Study of useful and spoilage microorganism and their role. Fermentation, control of the spoilage pathogenic microorganism, and food industry like in production, quality control, and preservatives. Okay, now the next is your advantages of the biotech, food biotech. Okay, so food biotech poses a lots of advantages, like in the production of the food product, in industry, in environment, and in people, that we have to discuss in detail. Now food supply consists basically of plants, animals, or product which are derived from them. Okay, so basically what is the source of the food? So the source of the food is either plants or animal, or the product that we get from the plants or animal. It is better understand when we discuss that the food supply contain a microorganism in interaction with the food. Okay, now in food supply there is also involvement of the microorganism. Okay, so we have to understand that how this microorganism can affect the quality of the food product. These microorganisms use the food supply as a source of nutrient for their own growth. See, for the growth and development of the microorganisms, we already discussed that a factor like this. So microorganism require these factor. F is stand for the food or the nutrient. Okay, now when a microorganism grow any food supply, then they use their nutrient which are present on that food product as a source of their growth and development. This will cause two possibility: either it result of the deterioration of the food, Okay, suppose that if the microorganisms survive into the food product, or if they use the food product as a source of their own nutrient, either the deterioration of the food product take place, or these interact between the microorganism and food give up beneficial to the human being. See, microorganism is also of two type. One is your beneficial and one is your harmful. When the harmful bacteria interact with the food product, then they deteriorate that food product, okay, which give a deterioration into the food product, or you can say that they spoil the food product. But when a beneficial microorganism react with the food product, then it give a benefit to the human being, like your probiotics, like for the production of the curd we use a lactobacillus. Now this lactobacillus is what? It is also a microorganism, but it is a beneficial microorganism. How microorganism can cause a deterioration of the food, and how we prevent it, this deterioration of the food by microorganism, we have to discuss this. What are the important microorganisms present in a food chain? So that I already told you, there are two type of the bacteria. The one is your desirable, good, or you can set that useful, and the another one is your bad and undesirable. Okay, so microorganism which is good or useful, it is used in a food bioprocessing, food biopreservation, and probiotics. And the undesirable microorganism can cause a foodborne disease. It is caused by the pathogenic microorganism, and food spoilage, which is caused by the spoilage microorganism. Next, food bioprocessing. So food bioprocessing means that the food which is produced by using a biological process. When this biological process are used for the production of the food, then it is known as a food bioprocessing. In this process, food grade microorganisms are used. Okay, food grade microorganism, what does this word means? This word means that the beneficial microorganisms are used so that they produce a different type of the fermented food, which is used as a raw material. Raw material for which? Raw material for the animal and plant sources, and this process is known as a starter culture. For the production of curd, what we require? We required a starter culture, na? And this starter culture are made up of microorganism. Microbial enzyme are also being used for the production of the food and food additives. Now the next is your food biopreservation. So food biopreservation is basically a food biological preservative which uses the antimicrobial metabolites which are taken from the certain microorganism in order to control the pathogenic and spoilage microorganisms which are present into the food product. That is known as a food biopreservation. Bio means that this simply it is a what? It is a preservative which we used in the um, in the in the preservation of the food product, and these preservative are the food biological preservative, and it contain a antimicrobial metabolites which affect the certain type of the microorganism and control the growth of the both type of the microorganism, either the pathogenic microorganism or either the spoilage microorganism which are present into the food product. That is known as a food biopreservation. Now the next is your probiotics. Probiotic is what? It is a concentrated supplement of the beneficial life cells of the bacteria. Probiotics, if in a simple word, probiotic means that the beneficial bacteria, it is known as a probiotic, okay, or you can say that the friendly bacteria. Definition is defined as that it is a concentrated form of the beneficial life cells of the bacteria or the friendly bacteria, which culture taken by the orally intend to improve our health and how they improve our health? By promoting our body's natural immunity and improving the digestion system. It is known as a probiotics. Bad or undesirable foodborne disease, it is caused by the consumption of the contaminated food or the water during the various stage of the handling between the production and the consumption by many pathogenic microorganisms like your bacteria, molds, and the viruses. Food spoilage. Food spoilage is simply what? It is the condition of the contaminate food which is occurred due to the growth of the microorganism. Food spoilage, suppose that if we have keep the food at room temperature around 2 hours. Now that food are contain the growth of the microorganism, and due to that growth of the microorganisms our food become contaminated, and now it is not good for the consumption. That is known as a food spoilage. Food spoilage can also occur due to the microbial heat stable enzyme. Okay, microbial heat stable enzymes are present into the food product, and due to which food spoilage can occur. Microorganisms use the food supply as a source of nutrient by their growth, and spoilage are lead to the wastage of the food and economic loss. Obviously, when the spoilage occur, what happen? The wastage of the food occur, and along with that, economic loss will also occur. And this spoilage occur because microorganisms use the food product, use that nutrient as a source of their nutrients and growth. Probiotics. Probiotic is a considered supplement of the beneficial live bacteria culture which is taken by the orally. So probiotic is always taken by the orally, and it can improve our health. It is considered as a friendly bacteria which play a vital role in keeping us the fit and healthy. Okay, when we take a probiotic, then this probiotic, what they do, they improve our health and they keep our then they keep us the fit. Probiotic means that the for life. The good friendly bacteria are good because they promote the body's natural to keep our body fit and to go help our digestion. Advantages: by increasing the absorption of the minerals. So what probiotics have a advantage? Okay, the first advantage is that it increase the absorption of the minerals and vitamin, and also improve the digestion system, especially of the milk product. Then if we take a probiotic, then it also support our immune system, and it help the immune system to fight against the bad bacteria or um, unhealthy bacteria. It also produce the antimicrobial substances. Antimicrobial substance means a substance which are able to act with the microorganism and deter the bad bacteria. It is important because of the disease begin in intestinal tract, because there are lots of the disease which occur due to the intestinal tract. Produce a specific product which act as a antigen and stimulate the immune system. It produces a specific type of the protein, probiotics. Okay, and that specific type of the protein are act as an antigen, and that antigen stimulate the immune system. It also increases the absorption of the calcium, and it is very important for the prevention of the osteoporosis. Okay, because this calcium are help in the osteoporosis. It prevent the intestinal tract infection which is caused by the Candida species and Helicobacter pylori, normalizing the bowel elimination problems and promoting the regularity, clean the colon and improve the constipation, fight the pathogenic molds, yeast, fungus, viruses, parasite, and the bacteria, stimulate the beta lymphocyte and related antibody production. It also support the liver function and assist in the cholesterol management. The example of the probiotics in food like your milk, baby milk nowadays is added with the lactobacillus acidophilus and bifidus bacteria. Okay, if we talk about the milk, then milk are also considered as a probiotic in case of the baby milk, because in baby milk lactobacillus acidophilus and bifidus bacteria were added. Yogurts are the rich source of the live bacteria culture, that is your Lactobacillus bulgarisus and Streptococcus thermophilus. Cheese also have a friendly bacteria like your Lactobacillus. Buttermilk contain the friendly bacteria, that is your Lactobacillus bulgaris. Bacteria in the intestine. So there are variable type of the bacteria are present into the intestine, and they have a they have a good they are considered as a healthy bacteria. Okay, lactobacillus acidophilus guard the small intestine and bifidobacter protect the large intestine. So these two bacteria are the most common type of the bacteria which are present into the gut of the intestine. The first one is your lactobacillus acidophilus, which present into the small intestine, and bifidobacter present in a large intestine. Human obtain the food from the animals, microorganism and the plant, and these must be healthy. So the source of the food are what is either the animals, either the plant, or either the microorganism. Only the consider is that they should be healthy. Food of animal origin are either made up of water, carbohydrate, protein, lipid and trace of the animal and vitamin C. This is your food. Now food contain macronutrients, micronutrients. Macronutrients means that it contains protein, fat and carbohydrate, and micronutrients means that it contains vitamin and minerals. Okay, and along with that, food also made up of large number of the water. So these are the composition of the food product that we get from the animal origin, or either we get from the plant origin. Food of animal and plant are highly perishable, means that it can easily be spoiled. So that's why it come under the category of the perishable food product. Food production occur in a specific area, and it at certain period of the year due to the variation in weather condition. Food has therefore be collected and stored for use of during periods of low or no food production, or has to be stored, packed and transported over a longer distance to reach available markets. Food spoilage. Food spoilage is simply that means that suppose that we have a fresh food. Now in that fresh food, the growth of the microorganisms are occur, and due to that growth, the food are become unfit for the consumption. Then it will consider as a food spoilage. Now see what is written here. Food when fresh are free of microorganisms, bacteria, fungi, while food surfaces may have a low load of the microorganism. See, when a food is free from any type of the microorganism, then it considered as the fresh food. But spoilage means that there is a deterioration occur due to the growth of the microorganism, and it can occur after harvesting, gathering, processing or slaughtering. Damage or injury to a food rendering is unsuitable for human consumption if they contaminated with any pathogenic microorganism or poisoning agent, for example pesticide, heavy metals, etc. Now there are some other definition of the food spoilage. The first one is your, if the food is damaged or injured, then it is not suitable for the human consumption. Then in that case, the food is also considered as a food spoilage food or spoiled food. Okay, then the second thing is that if that food is contaminated either by the pathogenic microorganism or by the poisoning agent like your pesticide or heavy metal. In most cases there does not need to be an evident sign of the spoilage. Okay, there are lots of the there is lots of the reason in which you can not only by seeing that said that food is spoiled, because there is no evidence of the sign of any spoilage. The food might look normal, and only after eating it or by carefully bacteriological or toxicological investigation one is able to realize the defect. Okay, at that time maybe the food is look like only normal, okay, but it is spoiled by the microorganism, and we can investigate it only by either do a bacteriological or toxicological investigation. Then food decay or decomposition is implied when the term spoil is used. Storage life of various food products. Um, the first table is for the food product, and the second table is the storage life at 21 degrees Celsius. Now, if we have a raw beef and mutton, then it can be stored at 1 to, no, it is not 1 to 2 days. It is only for 2 hours. You can store raw beef and mutton if it kept at 21 degrees Celsius. Then you can keep it only for 2 hours. Again, raw fish and poultry, it can also be kept only for 2 hours. Dry salted or smoked beef, meat or fruit, then you can store it at 360 or more. Fresh fruit, then it can be stored 1 to 7 days. Dry fruit, then 360 or more. Leafy vegetable, only 1 to 2 days. Root crops, 1 to 20 days. Dry seed, 360 or more. Okay, this raw beef, mutton and poultry can only be stored for 2 hours at 21 degrees Celsius, because 21 degrees Celsius are considered as a danger zone, means that the temperature range between 5 to 63 degrees Celsius. It can consider as a danger zone. Either we have to keep our food like fresh food or that raw meats and mutton and that poultry, anything above the 63 degrees Celsius or below the 63 degrees, sorry, above the 63 degrees Celsius or below the 5 degree Celsius. Causes of the food spoilage. Food can be spoiled either by the growth and activity of the microorganism like your bacteria, yeast and mold, and key microorganism which causes the food spoilage. They produce various enzymes which digest the various constitute of the food product. Enzyme activity, which refers to the action of the enzyme inheritance, which is found in animal or plant tissues. These enzymes digest the various food components after the death of the plant or animal. Chemical reaction. This chemical reaction are occur by the, sorry, these are the chemical reaction which occur in plants and animal tissue, but it is not catalyzed by the enzyme, like your oxidation of the fat which cause the rancidity. So oxidation of the fat is what? It is a chemical reaction, but this chemical reaction are not catalyzed by the enzyme, but it cause a rancidity into the food product. Vermin includes the weevils, ant, rats, cockroaches, mice, birds. Larva stage of some insect. Vermin are important due to the aesthetic aspect of their presence. For example, weevils unsightly in food grain, maize and beans. Possible transmission of that pathogenic microorganism like your salmonellosis by rats, and consumption of the food product. Physical changes which include the changes which can caused by the freezing, burning, drying, pressure, etc. Microbial spoilage of the food product. It can occur by the either bacteria, yeast and mold, and they produces a various enzyme which are digest various chemical constitute of the food product. Which type of the constitute? The constitute which are considered as a healthy constitute. Now molds are the major cause of spoilage of the food which occur due to the reduced water activity. For example, cereals and cereals product. Bacteria are involved in spoilage of the food with relative high water activity. For example, milk and milk product, meat, etc. So the spoilage which are occur due to the bacteria, it can occur when our water activity of the food product is high, like in case of the milk and milk product. Now come to the next slide. Now we are going to discuss about the primary sources of the microorganisms which occur into the food product. So there are the 8 primary sources of the microorganism which occur into the food product. And these 8 primary sources are considered as an environmental source, means that the source are arises from the environment. So the first source is your soil and water. Okay, so two environmental these two environment are placed together because many of the bacteria and fungi that inhabited both have a lot in common. So the microorganisms which are present in soil and water, they are mostly a common type of the microorganisms. That's why we are considered as two environment in a same place. Soil organism may enter the atmosphere by the action of the wind and later enter water bodies when it rains. Okay, so if we talk about the soil microorganism, then the soil microorganisms are added into that atmosphere by the action of the wind. Then after that, it entered into the water bodies when rains occur. They also enter the water when rain water flow or over the soil into the bodies of the water. Aquatic organisms can be deposited onto the soil through the cloud formation and subsequently rain fall. This common cycling result in soil and aquatic organism begin one and the same to a large degradation. Plant and plant product. It may be assumed that many or most of the microorganisms which are present into the soil and water will be contaminated by the plant. Like if we talk about that, the microorganisms which are present into the soil and water, so most of that type of the microorganism will be contaminated by the plant. Only a relative small number of the microorganism find the plant environment suitable for their overall well-being. Those that persist on plant, they product do so by virtue of the capacity to adhere to plant surfaces so that they are not easily washed away and because they are able to obtain their nutritional requirement from these surfaces. Notable that among these are lactic acid bacteria and the yeast and other corynebacteria, pseudomonas and fungal pathogens. Food utensil are also become the reason of the contamination. When a vegetables are harvested and it container and utensil, some or all of the surfaces microorganism on the product contaminate the contact surfaces. Suppose that the utensil or the container in which the vegetables are stored after the harvesting, maybe the some part of the surfaces or whole surfaces can contain a considered as a contaminated surface. The cutting block in a meat market along with the cutting knives and grinders are contaminated from the initial sample. Okay, if we talk about the cutting block, means that the chopping board in which the meat are grind or chopped, and even the cutting knife and the grinders, they all are contaminated due to the initial substances, and this process it leads to the buildup of the organisms. This ensure that constant level of the contamination by the meat borne organisms. Gastrointestinal tract of the man and animal. This biota become a water sources when the pollutant water is used to wash the raw food product. The intestinal biota consist of salmonella. Any of all interior bacteria can also consider as a fecal waste, along with the intestinal pathogens which include the protozoa, for example, E. E. histolytica, Giardia lambaria, Toxoplasma gondii, Cryptosporidium pavum, Cyclospora cycneticis. Food handlers. The microorganism on the hands and outer garments of the food handlers generally reflect the environment and habits of the individual. The organisms may be those from the soil, water, and dust, and other environment sources. Additional, these sources are the microorganisms which are found in a nasal cavities, the mouth, and on the skin, and those from the gastrointestinal tract which may enter the food through the poor personal hygiene practices. Animal hides and skin. In case of the milk cows, the type of the microorganism which are present into the raw milk can also reflect the biota of the udder when a proper milking procedure are not followed. Okay, this is a big reason of the contamination which are occur into the raw milk. Okay, because when our milking is done at the milli of the second, the milk are free from any type of the microorganism. Okay, but this if the milking is not done in a proper way, in that case the general environment of the animal can become the reason of the contamination of the milk. From both the udder and the skin of the organism can contaminate the general environment like your milk container and the hand of the handlers. Animal feed. So this is the source of the salmonella to the poultry and often from the animals. In case of the silage, which is good source of the Listeria monocytogenes to the dairy and meat animal. The organisms present in a dry animal feeds, they spread throughout the animal environment and can be expected to occur on a animal hides. Air and dust. Organisms which are found in air and dust like your gram-positive bacteria and among the fungi and a number of mold may be expected to occur in air and dust along with the some yeast. Factor which affect the microbial growth. The first factor is your hydrogen ion concentration. So most of the bacteria can be grow at neutral or weakly alkaline pH like 6.6 to 7.5. Few bacteria can be grow below the pH 4 and some bacteria can grow within a pH range 4.5 to 9, for example salmonella. So for the growth of the salmonella, pH of the food should be at the range of 4.5 and 9. Bacteria tends to more fastidious in their relationship to the pH than molds and yeast, with the pathogenic bacteria being the most fastidious. Mold can grow at the pH range of 1.5 to 11, while the yeast can grow at the pH range of 1.5 and 8.5. Fruits, soft drinks, vinegar, and wines all have a pH value or which fall below the point at which the bacteria normally grow. The excellent keeping quality of these products is occur due to in great part to the pH. This is a common observation that the fruit generally undergo the mold or yeast spoilage. This is a reason behind it. And this is due to the capacity of these organisms to grow at pH value of less than 3.5. Most of the meat and seafood have a final ultimate pH about 5.6 and above, which make these products to be sustainable to bacteria as well as mold and yeast spoilage. Meat from the fatigued animals spoil faster than from the rested animal. And this is a direct consequences of the final pH which are attained upon the complication of that rigor mortis. Upon the death of the well-rested animal, the usually 1% of the glycogen is converted into the lactic acid, due to which there is a depression of the pH value, which is about 7.4 to 5.6, and it totally depends upon the type of the animals. The lowest the pH value for beef is approx 5.1 and the highest is approx 6.2 after the rigor mortis. Table pH value of the food products. So beef have a pH range around 5.1 to 6.2, chicken 6.2 to 6.4, milk 6.3 to 6.8, cheese 4.9 to 5.9, fish 6.6 to 6.8, oysters 4.8 to 6.3, fruits less than 4.5 and mostly 3.5, vegetables 3 to 6.1. Microorganism which have a capability to grow in a acid environment, that type of the microorganisms are known as a acidophilus, means that the microorganism which have a capability to grow at the lowest pH. These microorganisms are able to grow at the pH around 2, and yeast and mold grow under the acidic condition. Other type of the microorganism like your Vibrio cholera, they are very sensitive to acid and prefer alkaline condition, means that it cannot be grow at a low temperature. That is your Vibrio cholera. Most bacteria are killed in strong acid or strong alkaline environment except the mycobacteria. Moisture content. One of the oldest method for the preservation of the food is by drying or desiccating. In this type of the method, what we have to do for the preservation of the food product, we decrease the level of the moisture present into the food product. Okay, again, this factor is considered here, in which the acid factor that we are already discussed. Now the next is your moisture content, means that if the moisture content is high in a food product, then it can be easily spoiled by the microorganism. Preservation of the food by drying is a direct consequences of the removal or binding of the moisture, without which microorganisms do not grow. It is generally expected that the water requirement of the microorganism should be described in terms of the water activity. Water activity is the measurement of the free water present into the food media. Water activity is what? It's simply the free water present into the food media. The amount of free water in food is important for the growth of the microorganism. If the water is bind with anything, then the chances of the growth of the microorganisms is very less. But if a free water is present, then the chances is very high. If there is a lack of this free water, then microorganism will not grow. Water activity is defined as a vapor pressure of the food substances to that of water at the same temperature. The water activity of most of the food product is above than 0.99. In general, bacteria required high level of water activity for growth than the fungi. Gram-negative bacteria having a higher requirement than the gram-positive bacteria. And most of the spoilage bacteria do not grow below the water activity 0.91. And spoilage mold can grow water activity 0.80. So with respect to that, food poisoning bacteria like your Staphylococcus aureus can grow at the water activity 0.86, whereas the Clostridium botulinum does not grow at water activity below than 0. Does not grow at water activity below 0.94. Oxidation and reduction potential. It is another reason of the spoilage of the food product of a substrate, which may be defined generally as the ease of the substrate loss or gain the electron. When an element or compound loses the electron, the substrate is oxidized, whereas a substrate then gain the electron become the reduced. Therefore, a substrate that readily give up the electron into the food product, that is known as a reducing agent. When the electron is give up and then readily take up the electron is known as a oxidizing agent. When the electron is gained by the food product, then that time it is known as the oxidizing agent. And when the food product is um, release the electron, then it is known as a reducing agent. The OR potential of a system is expressed by the symbol EH, and the aerobic microorganism required the positive EH value for the growth, while the anaerobes required the negative EH value. Nutrient content of the food, it is another reason of the growth of the microorganisms, because microorganisms consider the food as their own nutrients, and they use that nutrient for their growth and development. In order to grow and function normally, microorganisms of important in food required water, protein, carbohydrate, lipid, nitrogen, sulfur, phosphorus, vitamin, and minerals. They get from the food. Now there are different type of the food product which is a good source of the milk, meat, and eggs are rich in nutrients that are required by the microorganism. These foods are therefore susceptible to the microbial spoilage. Antimicrobial constitute like substances the resistant of the some food against the attack by the microorganism. It are occur due to the natural occurring substances which poses and expresses the antimicrobial activity. Some of the plant species which is known as it contain a essential oil which poses the antimicrobial activity, for example, eugenol in cloves and allicin in garlic. Cow milk also contain several antimicrobial substances like your lactoferrin, conglodatin, and the lactoperoxidase system. Milk casein is also known as an antimicrobial under a certain condition. Lysozyme, which are present into the egg, it also known to exhibit some antimicrobial activity. Biological structure. So the natural covering of the food product also provide a excellent protection against the microorganism, and you can say that the damage which are occurred due to the microorganism. For example, meat has a fascia, skin, and other membrane which prevent the entry, and egg have a shell and inner membrane. The extensive factor which included that food are not substrate dependent, but they are those properties of the storage of the environment which affect the both food and their microorganisms. These factors like your temperature of the storage, presence of concentration of gases in the environment, and relative humidity of food storage environment. Temperature of spoilage. Microorganisms individually and as a group grow over a wide range of the temperature. The lowest temperature at which the microorganisms are grow, and it is reported that minus 34 degrees Celsius, and the highest temperature is excess of 100 degrees Celsius. Bacteria can therefore be grouped into three categories. The first one is your psychrophilus. Psychrophilus microorganism are those category of the microorganism which can grow at the temperature range between 20 degrees Celsius. Their growth is best, but they can also grow at minus 10 degrees Celsius in an unfrozen media. Psychrophilus bacteria can cause a food spoilage at a low temperature, and several of the bacteria can found in soil and water which all belong to this group. Mesophilic bacteria can be grow at the temperature range between 20 to 45 degrees Celsius, and the optimal range for their growth is 30 to 40 degrees Celsius. Optimum growth temperature is around 37 degrees Celsius. Some of the mesophil bacteria like your Pseudomonas aeruginosa may grow at lower temperature between 5 to 45 degrees Celsius. This is an exception. None of the mesophils are able to grow the temperature below the 5 degrees Celsius or above the 45 degrees Celsius. Most of the pathogenic bacteria which are belong to this category of microorganism. Thermophilic microorganisms which can grow above the 45 degrees Celsius, and the optimum range and the optimum temperature required for their growth is in between the 50 to 70 degrees Celsius. Growth of the some bacteria may occur at 80 degrees Celsius, and bacteria in this group are mainly spore former and are of importance in the food industry, especially in the processed foods. Concentration of the gases in environment. Carbon dioxide is the single most important atmospheric gas which is present to control the growth of the microorganism in a food product. Carbon dioxide along with the oxygen, they are two most important gas which is used in the modified atmospheric packed foods. Various microorganisms require for growth either high oxygen or low oxygen tension. Absence of the oxygen, some bacteria, that is facultative anaerobes, may grow either in high oxygen tension or in the absence of the oxygen. Anaerobes or the facultative aerobes, spores forming, most likely can be grown in a canned foods. Microaerophilic bacteria are most likely to grow in vacuum packed food since they required a low oxygen tension. Aerobic bacteria are likely to grow on the surface of the raw meat. Aerobic molds are likely to grow in sufficiently dry or salted products. Relative humidity of the food storage, like relative humidity is defined as 100 multiplied by the water activity. This is the amount of moisture which are present into the atmosphere or food environment. Food with lower water activity placed in high humidity environment take up the water, and due to which the water activity is increases and food is spoiled. Suppose that if we have a food product like your chips whose water activity is very low, and we kept that food product into the high humidity environment, at that time the low water activity active food can take up the water from the high humidity environment, and due to which their water activity is increases and food is spoiled. For example, dry grain stored in an environment with high humidity will take up the water and undergo the spoilage by the molds. So this is all about the biotechnology which reduces the food spoilage. I hope you will understand, but if you have any query related to this, you are free to ask me in a comment box, or for a further detail you can follow the ITLS Academy on different platforms, that is Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, WhatsApp and LinkedIn, and subscribe our channel ITLS Academy on YouTube and get our app from a Google Play. You can also visit our website, that is www.itlsacademy.com, or ask your query to the helpline number that are already mentioned here, that is 7080833450. Thank you for watching. Please like, share and subscribe our channel.